Yet another Saturday evening, and I'm just here pondering about metal music. Well, what else to do, really? Just let's have some beer with today's topics, with some Leitila Imperiali. As you can pretty much figure out, this is Imperial Stout, strong, black, heavy, and totally suitable for today's topic, which is the age of metal Goliaths is gone. Or is it? Now, first we need to define what that actually even means. Goliath is kind of referring to big, colossal names, gargantuan size, or whatever. And, well, obviously we're talking about metal music here. Um, this is all actual depending how we define what is big, what is metal, what is rock, and all that stuff. So let me start with the sort of introduction. Many people seem like to think that Black Sabbath is and was the first metal band ever. That kind of launched the whole age of metal, so to speak. That happened some 50 years ago, give or take. And as such, it's no wonder that certain era has come to an end. It really doesn't matter which band you or album you define as the starting moment. The thing here is we are sort of living an end of an era. And what I mean is that not only we are losing old metalheads, like the pioneers of metal music, to age and different kind of diseases and whatever problems, not just drugs and rock and roll lifestyle as it was, say, back in the 70s and 80s when people are young. I'm talking about the kind of Elvis effect. You just have too much stuff going on with your rock and roll or music career in the first place. You have heavy drugs. Some people get done, like the way of Jim Morrison of The Doors or Jimi Hendrix, and etc. Obviously, this happens outside metal or rock music too. But now we have reached the age or era where people like Dio, rest in peace, and all that stuff are gone because they get older and they get the diseases and symptoms and whatever that comes with age. We've seen Kelly, or Lemmy Kilmister, gone and all that stuff. So we have reached the age where old rock and roll stars are dying. But not only that, this is not the point of this video, but it's more like we're losing the big names and there are no big names to replace them. I'm talking about names such as Metallica and Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, and all those old names. Now, this is kind of a funny thing because when you think like bands like, say, Metallica, it's like more than 10 years younger than Black Sabbath. But we're still already kind of seeing the twilight of these gods getting closer. I mean, Slayer said it's gonna quit and it's roughly about the same age as Metallica. It's not like these guys are 80 years old and they're already like, damn, fuck it, we're just gonna call it quits. The day has come and now it's time to retire. Will they actually retire? Nobody knows for sure because metal rock bands, are not really known for their actually, keeping the promise. Like, this is gonna be the last tour. Like, Ozzy Osbourne is doing those kind of the last tour ever part 2 and all that stuff. So it's kind of a stupid, but at the same time I kind of understand. I mean, if the only life you have ever seen is like having rock and roll, on tour, making albums and whatever, are you just gonna retire just because you get old? I mean, I remember when, Sean Connery, the actor, just said that he's gonna retire. I think many people were actually, expecting to, him to come back, like, oh, he's not just gonna quit. He will come back in a year or two, make a new movie and whatever. But it seems he just did it. And I mean, like, he has totally earned that. Respect to him about that. So it's not really a surprise that actually old musicians get kind of like worn out because they've been touring so many decades. They might not even make those good albums anymore. So, I mean, they already have their um, career done. They have made their legend and all that stuff. They have their, say, kind of left their mark. So, I mean, like, why the hell to go to the end of your life and tour? Because, after all, you might have kids, grandkids. You might have things to do which you were not able to do because you were all the time touring or in their recording studio and whatever. I mean, don't get me wrong. I totally understand most bands actually probably live a rather nice life, especially the big ones. But of course it takes its toll. I mean, there are always good and bad sides. But now I need some taster from this great stuff. Mmm, black as black metal and as brutal in taste as well. So, Age of Goliaths. I think it's kind of has reached the time when it's gonna just end. And even though we have newer generation bands which are big and all that stuff, I don't think it's actually the same. Now, I think I read once upon a time about Kiss, the big rock band, one of the biggest ever, that Kiss might just keep going even though the old members get replaced and all that stuff because it's kind of like brand rather than a band. And you could just replace guys behind the mask and keep those old rock and roll songs playing and all that stuff. But then again, it also sounds more like a money making corporate, like an industry thing, rather than creative bunch of people making music and playing shows night after night and all that stuff. But I don't know if Kiss will actually do that, but it would be probably the only band that would actually make something as stupid or weird in terms of metal music. Well, rock music, but Um, but what happens when bands like Metallica and Iron Maiden and other big names are gone for good? Will there be new bunch of names to replace them? My personal opinion and guess is nope. I mean, it doesn't matter if we have bands like Five Finger Death Punch. Yeah, the way I just puked a little bit in my mouth. Because they are not that big. And I'm not just, in the term of this context, I'm not actually worried about what is the level of quality in the music. That's another topic. I could go on ranting about how so many big bands playing sort of a metal or rock, whatever, are just crap. But that is beside the point. And now I'm just trying to figure out what will happen, how we will see these dinosaurs gone extinct. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing either, because I grew up with Metallica, and Iron Maiden was, the first metal band ever I got to listen. I was like 6 years old, and it was like 1980, 81 or something, 82 maybe. Anyhow, the thing here is like whether we like these particular bands or whether we care about their latest endeavors. I mean, I think Iron Maiden didn't actually make that good an album after the 80s, and basically that applies to Metallica as well. But still, those bands are kind of a special. And bands like Wasp, which I also grew up with the 80s and still love it like a lot. I mean, they have gone to kind of a decline. Metallica haven't done anything real good since the 80s. And same could be said about many, many bands. But that's not even like the problem here. The problem is that I think we are stepping into the new era where these bands are not even possible to grow that big. Now, even so, that touring is even more important part of the kind of a music industry than ever before. I mean, we all know that CD sales and whatever, they're going down, and the importance of touring is even, well, bigger importance than ever before because that's how the bands actually make their living. And I'm not so much giving a damn here about underground things. It doesn't belong to this very topic. I'm just talking about these bands that are big because, well, They made success because of, I don't know, good albums, good touring, good live shows, and all that combined. But with generation that has grown with, YouTube and whatever, live shows are not the same anymore. It's not like you cannot witness band at home. Of course, it's a different experience, and personally, I don't like live CDs or live albums in general. I don't care that much about live DVDs or whatever. They're not the same. I'm talking about live DVDs. I mean, that is a format which should have gone extinct like years ago, and still we don't have 4K, ultra high quality sound releases when it comes to bands. So it seems like we are living in this era like we survived past VHS and beta system and all that stuff. We got DVDs. Oh, it's like next big great thing to see a band live, but it's really not. I mean, first of all, most people don't have a good sound system or big enough screen to kind of get this live feeling. So it's not even close. I mean, if I watch like Metallica on like screen like that, that is 55 inch by the way. I have the bigger one in my living room. Um, it doesn't feel like the same. It's still like, hey, here I am alone in my living room or my man cave or whatever, and it's still like very different thing. And yet at the same time, it's the closest thing to going to see a band live when that is not possible. But when we are losing these metal goliaths, metal colossus, whatever, I think we are just kind of taking a step into a worse direction. I think the golden era for big bands, I think it's gone. I mean, like I said, it goes beyond metal music. It goes beyond just pure traditional rock and roll music. Be it about, bands like Mötley Crüe or whatever. I'm talking about like Pink Floyd and all that stuff. They are majestic. I mean, they were majestic when you had to go to just. I mean, even I am too young, and I'm 40 plus, to have these memories of big bands playing in big stadiums and whatever. I've seen some, but for example, Pink Floyd, not. So my point here is that these big bands eventually stopped going all together, making these huge tours with huge stadiums and whatever. We have quite big bands. For example, I mean like bands like Children of Bodom, for example, from Finland. I mean, it's relatively big. I mean, they could go in Japan and, make big tours and whatever, but it's not like they're like this mega big. So when these finally, like these big dinosaurs are gone extinct, will we have a new wave of big metal bands replacing them? I don't think so. I mean, the whole culture has changed because, like I said, people are like just content watching these shows on YouTube, listening to the streams and whatever, and they don't even have necessarily this feeling like I'm gonna see this special band live. I could go like travel 3 hours to see that show because it's gonna be special. It's gonna be live. It's gonna be a thing. So first of all, we don't have these big bands in the same way. It's like this pyramid of like hierarchy. Like small bands, medium bands, great bands, and these top peak where the only the biggest and the best and the most shiny diamonds are. It's getting like flattened. It's like more like this rather than like a pyramid. So I think the whole metal has changed. Not necessarily for the worse, for worst, because I mean they are great things. I mean lots of underground bands are coming up with the amount of albums and whatever. But at the same time, because everything is getting flatter, we are more likely to see just small bands playing small gigs at small venues, doing nothing special in the I mean versus what happened in the like 80s even 90s with big bands. I mean, if you look at these weird things what like bands like Mötley Crüe did, like these swirling set of drums, playing um, head towards the floor and all that crazy stuff, what you don't get to see with smaller bands. Rammstein spends a huge amount of money on pyrotechnics and all weird stage setups and all that stuff, which is just like crazy when you get to see that live. But smaller bands are like more like, I'm just gonna look at my, guitar set and do 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 do, and then I just wanna get out of here and blah blah blah. I mean, if it's a good music set, it's good, but it's not like great. It's not one of those memorable moments. I've seen tons of different small bands playing basically the same thing. There's basically nothing to see. I mean, the whole atmosphere might be a thing, and there might be a lot of friends, and it might be like one of a lifetime chances to see this underground black metal band on stage doing their set. But it not might be just memorable thing, and that's what I'm kind of not sad, but it feels like not only I am getting older and my friends and colleagues of the same age and generation, but it seems like things are changing. Maybe to something that is not the same anymore. So I kind of feel nostalgic already, even though we have not even yet lost the chance here. I guess my point here is I hope I am just, kind of a doomsayer saying that this will happen, and at the same time, I kind of hope it doesn't. And I'm also trying to make a point here that maybe you should go check out those big bands while they still actually play. For example, I've seen Slayer many times, and yet still I'm gonna see them in Finland at Tuska Festival because it might be just my last chance ever to see them live, and they are one of my favorite bands all the time. I hope it won't be the last, but seeing how things go, I mean, maybe they are Sean Connery rather than Ozzy Osbourne. Will you take the chance? I don't know, it's up to you. So, salute to those big metal dinosaurs which are about to go extinct. I hope I'm wrong here, but you never know. Anyway, thank you for watching, and looking forward to your comments. Did you miss a good big band which you wanted to see? Or have you seen all the bands you always wanted to see? I mean the bigger ones. There are always smaller bands to come to conquer the world and whatever, but will there be new Iron Maiden? Will there be another Kiss? Another Slayer? Another Metallica? Don't think so, unfortunately. So anyway, have yourself a good beer. I'm gonna keep editing the video with my stout and go to different direction. See ya and take care.